Okay, in the last video on algebra we looked at simplifying involving multiplying. So we established that 3x times 2y was 6xy, and that 3xy times 3x times 2y times 2y, I'll be careful with this one for you, 3 times 3 is 9, 18, 36 when you multiply them all together. X and x made x squared. 1, 2, 3 y's made x cubed. Now let's look at the following situation, where I'm going to divide. So let's look at 20a minus 5. Well, 20 minus 5 would have been 4. So 20a divided by 5, divided by, is 4a. So 16b divided by 8 is 2b. 30c squared divided by 10 is 3c squared. Now, those might seem fair enough, but what happens when we get this situation? Things get a little bit more complicated. So to check we're doing it right, I'm going to write it in a different way. So the division symbol here can be changed to look as follows. I'm then going to write both parts out longhand, because this is 6 times a squared, and a squared is a times a. So that's 6 times a times a, divided by 2 times a. Now, we can do some cancelling here. Dividing by a on both here, I can write ones, but I don't need to. And then 6 divided by 2. Divide those both by 2. And what I'm left with is 3 times a times 1, which is 3a, over 1 times 1. So I'm just left with 3a. Six divided by 2 gives me the 3. A squared divided by a gives me a. For the first few, I recommend you draw them out to show them, and after that you can start to shorthand. Let's look at another one. So, first off, I'm going to write it as a fraction. Then I'm going to write it longhand. Only the a is squared here. Twenty divided by 4 leaves me 5. Timesing by a there and there, they cancel out. I'll put the ones, even though when I multiply by 1, it doesn't change the answer. Okay, what's left? 5 times 1, doesn't do anything, times a, times 1, times c. So 5 times a times c is the numerator. And you can see the denominator is 1, so I'm not going to write it. Some of you, by now, will start to see this and go, 20 divided by 4 is 5. A squared divided by A leaves you just A. B divided by B makes 1. And timesing something by 1 does not change the answer. And then C, there are no C's, so you leave that as it is. Let's tackle one now where we mix these skills together. This is a common early exam question. Simplify the following. So, first thing we would do is simplify the numerator. 3 times 5 is 15. X squared times x cubed, well that's x times x, and this is x times x times x. So I'm going to have 5 of them multiplied together. X to the 5 divided by 6x. Now, 15 divided by 6, that can be cancelled down. Let's write this longhand though, just to make sure we don't make a mistake anywhere. So, 15 divided by 6, divide both of them by 3. Cancel a times by x on both, so you end up with times by 1 and 1. 5 times 1 is 5, times x, 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 x. That's x to the 4. And the denominator is 2. The same rules will apply, but things will get more and more complicated. So let's try just one more, slightly trickier. Okay. First off, I'm going to do the indices here first. That means I've got 3a squared multiplied by 3a squared. Then I'm going to take away that. Then I'm going to divide by this. So, here we go first. 3 times 3 is 9. A squared times a squared is a to the 4. Take away 4a to the 4 over 10a squared. It's really important that you line your equal signs up. It's really important that you carry everything else you don't change down. Now, we've been doing multiplying and dividing here for simplifying, but actually we've now got a subtraction. Now what we saw previously was x plus x was 2x. We also saw that a squared plus 2a squared was 3a squared. So when we have the same unknown here, whether it's a single one or a squared, we can do that. So we have a subtraction, but fortunately we have the same things here. So 9 lots of a to the 4, take away 4 lots of it, leaves me 5 lots of it. Some of you are thinking, doesn't the a disappear? Well, if you did 9x take away 4x, you'd get 5x. The x stays the same. Just like in fractions. When you had 9 tenths take away 4 tenths is equal to 5 tenths. Okay, let's write it out longhand. So, those two will go with each other. Those two will go with each other. 5 and 10 will divide by 5. So the numerator is now 1 times 1 times 1 times a times a. So that's a squared. And the denominator is 2 times 1 times 1, which is 2. And there you have it. I think now you need to practice some questions.